Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now today we were supposed to have the upload of the crochet top, but unfortunately because of the current events in the Philippines, I opted to have that moved to Monday. Now we encourage everyone to help out in the best way that they can to the victims of the typhoon. I will be putting all of the details of the outreach efforts on the description box below, and of course I am sending out all of my prayers to the families of the victims and to the families of all those people who died in this typhoon. I hope that everyone finds peace. For today's tutorial, I will going to teach you guys how to make a crochet rosary, and actually this has been requested to me by one of my relatives. It's just that this was meant to be next week's video, but I think this is more relevant now than the crochet top that we were supposed to have premiered for today. So we'll be moving that premiere on Monday, but guys, stay with me. Today we have more important things to tackle, and a lot of people are in need of prayers. That's why I think this is a much more fitting project to the events of today. So with this project, I actually started out with polyester fibers. I'm using 8 ply right here, but you can use whatever yarn you wish as long as it's number 3 in weight, and you can also alter this depending on the gauge of your hook, of course. Now for this project you also need scissors, of course, and I use a 2.5 millimeter hook. This one is a pony hook with a grip, but of course use whatever hook you want to use. Now you need to allot a long piece of string before starting your chain. This will become very useful later on, and you will know this as the video comes to an end. Once you have done your slip knot, chain 12 stitches like what I'm doing here. And then after you've done your initial 12 stitches, this is going to be the body of your cross, by the way. And it's probably one of the most difficult parts. This is the only part of the rosary that's going to be a little bit difficult. After chaining 12, skip 3 stitches and then make a half double crochet from this point until the end of your 12 chains. So just continue doing what I'm doing right here. Just do all the half double crochets all throughout. And then once you get to the end part, just chain 2. After you've chained 2, you will skip the first stitch. I actually tried putting a stitch here, but because of the size of the yarn, it's really tight. So instead of putting a stitch there, I actually skipped that stitch since we already chained 2, and then slip stitch to the next 2 stitches. So as you do the slip stitches, you're actually reinforcing the cross, making it a little bit sturdier. After you've done the slip stitches, we are going to make 5 chains, and on the 5 chains you are going to half double crochet, skipping the first 3 stitches. So on the 5 stitches, only 2 stitches gets to have like half double crochets. So I'm doing this demo just to show you, because it's kind of hard to explain it on written pattern. So here's how I do it. I just have the 2 half double crochets there, and to attach it to the main body of the cross, I just skip 1 stitch and then attach it to the next stitch after that with a slip stitch. And just like what we did at the beginning part of the cross's body, we just slip stitch all throughout, around the cross's body. And we do this until we get to the other side of the cross. once you reach the other side of the cross, we are just going to repeat the same process that we did at the beginning of this cross's body. So just make sure that it's completely parallel to the other side below it, and then as usual, chain 5 stitches and then skip 3 stitches on your way back and make 2 half double crochets and attach this using a slip stitch on the main body of the cross. You will see that the cross has really taken its shape now. It's just that the sides are a little bit wonky, but you'll see how we'll fix that later on in this video. So after you fix the cross, you slip stitch until you get to the center of the main body, just like what I'm doing here. And then we are gonna get started on the beads of our rosary. So we start by chaining 3 or 4, it depends on you. I opted to chain 3 on this one just to make us like a size difference between the cross and the first bead of the rosary. Just always remember that the chains are the spaces, and then after the spaces, you make a mark where you last want the space, and then you make 3 chains after that, and that will serve as the first initial double crochet that you're doing. So we'll make a bubble by yarning over and then inserting back to the base of where we're starting. And instead of pulling through all the way just like you're doing a double crochet, you leave the last loop, and then you continue this process like 3 to 4 times, leaving the loops on the crochet hook. And then when you're happy with the number of double crochets attached to your hook, yarn over again and then have that loop through all of the loops that you have attached on your hook, and then that's it. And that's your bubble. That's how you make your beads. And then to make the triangle shape or the center part of the rosary, the partition between the first prayers and the main mysteries, all I do is I just do increases. I chain first as the space, and then I make a couple of increases, but instead of leaving the last loop on the hook, I just do it like I'm doing an increase with a double crochet. When you have finished making this center part, then all you need to do is just repeat the bubble stitch several times, just making sure that you put spaces in between your bubbles to represent the spaces between the beads. It's up to you actually if you wanted to do this like the traditional rosary way with the 5 mysteries, but for the sake of this video, I'm just doing the 10 beads rosary like a bracelet. So like what you're seeing here, I made a space by using a chain and then the extra 3 stitches, yarning over and then going back to the base chain, leaving the last loop on the hook, and then doing this a couple of times. I'm doing 3 I think right here, and then on the last part I yarn over again and I pull through all of the loops on my hook, and then I close it up with a chain. After the chain, just repeat this process over and over again until you complete your bubble, and then repeat this as you make your beads. Now it's up to you if you want to make it a traditional rosary, but for the sake of this video, I'm just making 10 beads. Just remember that the chains are the spaces, and if you want longer spaces between your beads, just add more chains, and then the bubbles will serve as your beads. So you can alter this by adding more bubbles or adding more chains. So here we are at our final bubble, and then we go back to the main part of our triangle, the one that we did at the beginning, and then we just slip stitch our last bubble to that triangle to close this rosary up. So I just do a simple slip stitch, and then I do an additional stitch just to seal it up, and I leave a long tail for sewing because it's definitely gonna help out in fixing this rosary slash bracelet in the end. So there, I just cut off the ends, and basically that's it. Now this is the part where you get your needle, and then you get the excess strings, and you try to weave in the ends. But on this case, we strategically weave in the ends as support to the wobbly ends of the cross. So we kind of support them by maneuvering the stitches to the cross area so that it will have more body to it. Just make sure that the stitches are clean and just insert it all around, and that is the reason why we have that long excess string at the beginning of our work. We will also do the same process at the center area or the triangle area, and just forget to weave it out neatly and then cut off the ends, and that's about it. So that's the tutorial for today. I hope you guys learned something, even though this is a short tutorial. I really encourage you guys to help out in the best way that you can. Again, all of the outreach projects are listed down on the description box below. Just choose whichever you want to send your donations to, and I do hope that you guys continually pray for all of the victims of this typhoon. And as promised, next week or this coming Monday, I will be previewing to you guys the crochet top that we have been working on for the longest time. I promise that this is gonna be worth it. This is like on part 2 to the mermaid dreams, but on a different element. So I'll see you guys on the next video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Bye bye.